The true man. What is meant by true man? The true men of old were not afraid. When they stood alone in their views, no great exploits, no plans. If they failed, no sorrow, no self-congratulation in success. They scaled cliffs, never dizzy, plunged in water, never wet, walked through fire and were not burnt. Thus, their knowledge reached all the way to Tao. The true men of old slept without dreams, woke without worries. Their food was plain. They breathed deep. True men breathe from their heels. Others breathe with their gullets, half strangled. In dispute they heave up arguments like vomit. Where the fountains of passion lie deep, the heavenly springs are soon dry. The true men of old knew no lust for life, no dread of death. Their entrance was without gladness, their exit yonder, without resistance, easy come, easy go. They did not forget where from, nor ask where to, nor drive grimly forward, fighting their way through life. They took life as it came gladly, took death as it came without care, and went away yonder, yonder. They had no mind to fight Tao. They did not try by their own contriving to help Tao along. These are all the ones we call true men. Minds free, thoughts gone, brows clear, faces serene. Were they cool? Only cool as autumn. They were hot, no hotter than spring. All that came out of them came quiet like the four seasons. Metamorphosis. Four men got in a discussion. Each one said, "Who knows how to have the void for his head? To have life as his backbone and death as his tail. He shall be my friend." At this they all looked at one another, saw they agreed, burst out laughing, and became friends. And one of them fell ill, and another went to see him. "Great is the Maker," said the sick one, "who has made me as I am. I am so doubled up, my guts are over my head. Upon my navel I rest my cheek. My shoulders stand out beyond my neck. My crown is an ulcer surveying the sky. My body is chaos, but my mind is in order." He dragged himself to the wall, saw his reflection, and declared, "What a mess he has made of me." His friend asked, "Are you discouraged?" "Not at all. Why should I be? If he takes me apart and makes a rooster of my left shoulder, I shall announce the dawn. If he makes a crossbow of my right shoulder, I shall procure roast duck. If my buttocks turn into wheels, and if my spirit is a horse, I will hitch myself up and ride around in my own wagon. There is a time for putting together and another time for taking apart. He who understands this course of events takes each new state in its proper time, with neither sorrow nor joy. The ancients said the hanged man cannot cut himself down, but in due time nature is stronger than all his ropes and bonds. It was always so. Where is there a reason to be discouraged? Man is born in Tao. Fishes are born in water. Man is born in Tao. If fishes born in water seek the deep shadow of pond and pool, all their needs are satisfied. If man born in Tao sinks into the deep shadow of non-action, to forget aggression and concern, he lacks nothing, his life is secure. Moral, all the fish needs is to get lost in water, all man needs is to get lost in Tao. Two kings and no form. The South Sea King was act on your hunch. The North Sea King was act in a flash. The king of the place between them was no form. How South Sea King and North Sea King used to go together often to the land of no form. He treated them well. So they consulted together. They thought up a good turn, a pleasant surprise for no form, in token of appreciation. Men, they said, have 7 openings for seeing, hearing, eating, breathing, and so on, but no form has no openings. Let's make him a few holes. So after that they put holes in no form, 1 a day for 7 days, and when they finished the 7th opening, their friend lay dead. Lao Tan said, "To organize is to destroy." Cracking the safe. For security against robbers who snatch purses, rifle luggage, and crack safes, one must fasten all property with ropes, lock it up with locks, bolt it with bolts. This for property owners is elementary good sense. But when a strong thief comes along, he picks up the whole lot, puts it on his back, and goes on his way with only one fear, that ropes, locks, and bolts may give way. Thus, when the world calls good business, is only a way to gather up the loot, pack it, make it secure in one convenient load for the more enterprising thieves. Who is there among those called smart, who does not spend his time amassing loot for a bigger robber than himself? In the land of Ki, from village to village, you could hear cocks crowing, dogs barking, fishermen cast their nets. Plowmen plowed the wide fields, everything was neatly marked out by boundary lines. For 500 square miles, there were temples for ancestors, altars for field gods, and corn spirits. Every canton, county, and district was run according to the laws and statutes, until one morning the Attorney General, Chuang Tzu, did away with the king and took over the whole estate. Was he content to steal the land? No. He also took over the laws and statutes at the same time, and all the lawyers with them, not to mention the police. They all formed part of the same package. Of course, people called King Tzu a robber, but they left him alone to live as happy as the patriarchs. No small state would say a word against him, no large state would make a move in his direction, so for 12 generations the state of Qi belonged to his family. No one interfered with his inalienable rights. The invention of weights and measures makes robbery easier. Signing contracts, setting seals, makes robbery more sure. Teaching love and duty provides a fitting language with which to prove that robbery is really for the general good. A poor man must swing for stealing a belt buckle, but if a rich man steals a whole state, he is acclaimed as statesman of the year. Hence, if you want to hear the very best speeches on love, duty, justice, etc., listen to statesmen. But when the creek dries up, nothing grows in the valley. When the mound is leveled, the hollow next to it is filled, and when the statesmen and lawyers and preachers of duty disappear, there are no more robberies either, and the world is at peace. Moral: the more you pile up ethical principles and duties and obligations to bring everyone in line, the more you gather loot. For a thief like King, by ethical argument and moral principle, the greatest crimes are eventually shown to have been necessary, and in fact, a signal benefit to mankind. Leaving things alone. I know about letting the world alone, not interfering. I do not know what about running things, letting things alone so that men will not blow their nature out of shape, not interfering so that men will not be changed into something they are not. When men do not get twisted and maimed beyond recognition, when they are allowed to live, the purpose of government is achieved. Too much pleasure? Yang has too much influence. Too much suffering? Yin has too much influence. When one of those outweighs the other, it is as if the seasons came at the wrong times. The balance of cold and heat is destroyed. The body of man suffers. Too much happiness, too much unhappiness. Out of due time, men are thrown off balance. What will they do next? Thought runs wild, no control. They start everything, finish nothing. Here competition begins. Here the idea of excellence is born, and robbers appear in the world. Now the whole world is not enough reward for the good, nor enough punishment for the wicked. Since now the world itself is not big enough for reward or punishment, from the time of the 3 dynasties men have been running in all directions. How can they find time to be human? You train your eye and your vision lusts after color. You train your ear and you long for delightful sound. You delight in doing good, and your natural kindness is blown out of shape. You delight in righteousness, and you become righteous beyond all reason. You overdo liturgy, and you turn into a ham actor. Overdo your love of music, and you play corn. Love of wisdom leads to wise contriving. Love of knowledge leads to fault-finding. If men would stay as they really are, taking or leaving, these 8 delights would make no difference. But if they will not rest in their right state, the 8 delights develop like malignant tumors. The world falls into confusion since men honor these delights and lust after them. The world has gone stone blind. When the delight is over, they still will not let go of it. They surround its memory with ritual worship. They fall on their knees to talk about it, play music and sing, fast and discipline themselves in honor of the 8 delights. When the delights become a religion, how can you control them? The wise man then, when he must govern, knows how to do nothing, letting things alone, though he rests in his original nature. He who will govern will respect the governed no more than he respects himself. If he loves his own person enough to let it rest in its original truth, he will govern others without hurting them. Let him keep the deep drives in his own guts from going into action. Let him keep still, not looking, not hearing. Let him sit like a corpse, with the dragon power alive all around him. In complete silence, his voice will be like thunder. His movements will be invisible like those of a spirit, but the powers of heaven will go with them. Unconcerned, doing nothing, he will see all things grow ripe around him. Where will he find time to govern? The kingly man. My master said, that which acts on all and meddles in none is heaven. The kingly man realizes this, hides it in his heart, grows boundless, wide-minded, draws all to himself, and so he lets the gold lie hidden in the mountain, leaves the pearl lying in the deep. Goods and possessions are no gain in his eyes. He stays far from wealth and honor. Long life is no ground for joy, nor early death for sorrow. Success is not for him to be proud of. Failure is no shame. Had he all the world's power, he would not hold it as his own. If he conquered everything, he would not take it to himself. His glory is in knowing that all things come together in one, and life and death are equal. How deep is Tao? My master said, Tao, how deep, how still its hiding place. Tao, how pure. Without this stillness, metal would not ring. Stone, when struck, would give no answer. The power of sound is in the metal, and Tao in all things. When they clash, they ring with Tao, and are silent again. Who is there now to tell all things to their places? The king of life goes his way free, inactive, unknown. He would blush to be in business. He keeps his deep roots down in the origin, down in the spring. His knowledge is enfolded in spirit, and he grows great, opens a great heart, a world's refuge. Without forethought, he comes out in majesty. Without plan, he goes his way, and all things follow him. This is the kingly man who rides above life. This one sees in the dark, hears where there is no sound. In the deep dark he alone sees light. In soundlessness he alone perceives music. He can go down into the lowest of low places and find people. He can stand in the highest of high places and see meaning. He is in contact with all beings. That which is not goes his way. That which moves is what he stands on. Great is small for him, long is short for him, and all these distances are near. The lost pearl, the yellow emperor, went wandering to the north of the red water, to the Kwanlun mountain. He looked around over the edge of the world. On the way home he lost his night-colored pearl. He sent out science to seek his pearl and got nothing. He sent analysis to look for his pearl and got nothing. He sent out logic to seek his pearl and got nothing. Then he asked nothingness, and nothingness had it. The yellow emperor said, strange indeed, nothingness, who was not sent, who did not work to find it, had the night-colored pearl. In my end is my beginning. In the beginning of beginnings was void of void, the nameless. And in the nameless was the one, without body, without form, this one. This being in whom all find power to exist is the living. From the living comes the formless, the undivided. From the act of this formless come the existence, each according to its inner principle. This is form. Here body embraces and cherishes spirit. The two work together as one, blending and manifesting their characters, and this is nature. But he who obeys nature returns through form and formless to the living, and in the living joins the unbegun beginning. The joining is sameness, the sameness is void, the void is infinite. The bird opens its beak and sings its note, and then the beak becomes together again in silence, so nature and the living meet together in void, like the closing of the bird's beak after its song. Heaven and earth come together in the unbegun. And all is foolishness, all is unknown, all is like the lights of an idiot, all is without mind. To obey is to close the beak and fall into unbeginning. When life was full, there was no history. In the age when life on earth was full, no one paid any special attention to worthy men, nor did they single out the man of ability. Rulers were simply the highest branches on the tree, and the people were like deer in the woods. They were honest and righteous without realizing that they were doing their duty. They loved each other and did not know that this was love of neighbor. They deceived no one, yet they did not know that they were men to be trusted. They were reliable and did not know that this was good faith. They lived freely together, giving and taking, and did not know that they were generous. For this reason their deeds have not been narrated. They made no history. When a hideous man becomes a father, and a son is born to him in the middle of the night, he trembles and lights a lamp and runs to look in anguish on that child's face to see whom he resembles. The 5 enemies. With wood from a 100-year-old tree, they make sacrificial vessels. Covered with green and yellow designs, the wood that was cut away lies unused in the ditch. If we compare the sacrificial vessel with the wood in the ditch, we find them to differ in appearance. One is more beautiful than the other, yet they are equal in this. Both have lost their original nature. So if you compare the robber and the respectable citizen, you find that one is indeed more respectable than the other. Yet they agree in this: they have both lost the original simplicity of man. How did they lose it? Here are the 5 ways. Love of colors bewilders the eye, and it fails to see right. Love of harmonies bewitches the ear, and it loses its true hearing. Love of perfumes fills the head with dizziness. Love of flavors ruins the taste. Desires unsettle the heart until the original nature runs amok. These 5 are enemies of true life, yet these are what men of discernment claim to live for. They are not what I live for. If this is life, then pigeons in a cage have found happiness. Action and non-action. The non-action of the wise man is not inaction. It is not studied. It is not shaken by anything. The sage is quiet because he is not moved, not because he wills to be quiet. Still water is like glass. You can look in it and see the bristles on your chin. It is a perfect level. A carpenter could use it. If water is so clear, so level, how much more the spirit of man? The heart of the wise man is tranquil. It is the mirror of heaven and earth, the glass of everything: emptiness, stillness, tranquility, tastelessness, silence, non-action. This is the level of heaven and earth. This is perfect Tao. Wise men find here their resting place. Resting, they are empty. From emptiness comes the unconditioned, from this the conditioned, the individual things. So from the sage's emptiness, stillness arises. From stillness, action. From action, attainment. From their stillness comes their non-action, which is also action, and is therefore their attainment. For stillness is joy. Joy is free from care, fruitful in long years. Joy does all things without concern. For emptiness, stillness, tranquility, tastelessness, silence, and non-action are the root of all things. Du Quan and the Wheel write, the world values books and thinks that it in so doing it is valuing Tao. But books contain words only, and yet there is something else which gives value to the books, not the words only, nor the thought in the words, but something else within the thought, swinging it in a certain direction that words cannot comprehend. But it is the words themselves that the world values when it commits them to books, and though the world values them, these words are worthless as long as that which gives them value is not held in honor. That which man apprehends by observation is only outward form and color, name and noise. and he thinks that this will put him in possession of Tao. Form and color, name and sound do not reach to reality. That is why he who knows does not say, he who says does not know. How then is the world going to know Tao through words? Duke Huan of Kai, first in his dynasty, sat under his canopy reading his philosophy, and Fian the wheelwright was out in the yard making a wheel. Fian laid aside hammer and chisel, climbed the steps, and said to Duke Huan, "May I ask you, Lord, what is this you are reading?" The Duke said, "The experts, the authorities." And Fian asked, "Alive or dead?" "Dead a long time." "Then," said the wheelwright, "you are reading only the dirt they left behind." Then the Duke replied, "What do you know about it? You are only a wheelwright. You'd better give me a good explanation, or else you must die." The wheelwright said, "Let us look at the affair from my point of view. When I make wheels, if I go easy, they fall apart. If I am too rough, they don't fit. If I am neither too easy nor too violent, they come out right. The work is what I want it to be. You cannot put this into words, you just have to know how it is. I cannot even tell my own son exactly how it is done, and my own son cannot learn it from me, so here I am, 70 years old, still making wheels. The men of old took all they really knew with them to the grave, and so, Lord, what you are reading there is only the dirt they left behind them." We're going to end it there, page 84. The Way of Chuang Tzu by Thomas Merton. Thanks for coming to PhilosophyVideos.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Tumblr. Again, this is PhilosophyVideos.com.